The latest Russian drone strike reveals a new story. How could NATO's armored vehicles be caught off guard this time? Sumy stood as a silent witness to the destruction of NATO-supplied armored vehicles used by the Ukrainian armed forces. In an effort to retake control of the settlement of Obliterated, an area at the time being cleared by Russia's 83rd Air Assault Brigade, Ukraine launched a counterattack. They deployed an entire column of armored combat vehicles in an attempt to break through Russian defenses in the region. This convoy was made up of modern and varied units: American-made Strykers, the iconic Western Humvees, Turkish Kirpi vehicles known for their mine protection, and even BTR-80s inherited from the Soviet era. All were mobilized with one goal in mind: push Russian forces back from the front line. However, battlefield reality is rarely as smooth as plans drawn up in the war room. From the footage that circulated, it was clear how the convoy advanced with what could be seen as bravery or perhaps recklessness. They seemed to challenge Russian forces without fully understanding the terrain or the aerial threats looming above. In modern warfare, it's nearly impossible for a battle to unfold without drones in the sky. Once the convoy's movement was detected, Russia's KVN attack drones quickly launched a precision strike. Without thorough planning or adequate protection, the vehicles became easy targets. Explosions tore through the column, disabling them one by one with ruthless efficiency. In the end, nothing could truly be salvaged on that battlefield. The Stryker was destroyed, the Humvee burned, the Kirpi crushed, and the aging BTR-80 consumed by flames. What was meant to be a counteroffensive turned into a bitter lesson. So many resources and costly vehicles were deployed in vain, without calculation, only to burn money and manpower in a battle that continues to rage on. There's another story from Sumy, a city that has far too often become a stage for battle. Amid the ruins and shadows of destruction, an armored vehicle once again tried its luck. The Bradley Infantry Fighting Vehicle, a machine that has repeatedly tasted the bitter fate of frontline combat, but this time, the Bradley wasn't attacking. It was hiding, attempting to conceal itself from the enemy's view. Still and silent, nearly invisible. Yet, as with so many familiar stories, a single small mistake can lead to disaster. The Bradley had left its top side exposed, a vulnerable angle that turned out to be a fatal flaw. Once its position was detected, the target was instantly locked in. Without much warning, the Sever Forces group sprang into action. They dispatched a Lancet drone, and in one quiet yet deadly moment, the Bradley was neutralized. The Lancet drone, created by Zala and repeatedly used by Russian forces to destroy tanks, howitzers, radar systems, and various other strategic targets in Ukraine. But it's hard to believe that Ukraine still doesn't seem to have served as a valuable lesson for the Ukrainian military. According to a report by Defense Mirror, this drone has undeniable advantages. It can fly for up to 60 minutes, with a strike range of up to 40 kilometers. The Lancet is guided by an electro-optical system and provides real-time video feed, allowing for precise targeting. In many battlefield recordings, the drone is never alone. It operates alongside a reconnaissance UAV, ensuring the target is locked and damage is confirmed before the mission is deemed complete. But the story of the Lancet doesn't end there. A new chapter is drawing the attention of many analysts. After reviewing its track record and effectiveness, Russian forces have deemed the drone worthy of even greater focus. Now, they are taking things a step further by integrating the Lancet with the KamAZ 8x8 vehicle. This information surfaced from images taken during a nighttime exercise in Moscow, ahead of the Victory Day military parade. In the photo, a KamAZ vehicle is clearly seen equipped with a rail launcher on its rear. Two drones appear to be mounted side by side, ready to launch at any moment. The goal is clear: to speed up deployment, enable faster repositioning, and minimize the risk of enemy counterattacks. With its high off-road capability, the KamAZ can traverse various terrains, making this platform extremely flexible. Speed and precision are everything. and it seems Russia knows exactly how to maximize both. On one side of the battlefield, the thunder of artillery and the hum of drones continue to fill the skies over Ukraine. But on the other side, there is an issue just as deadly, the issue of armor. Not from Russia, but from the side that was supposed to be Ukraine's savior, NATO. One by one, the armored combat vehicles sent to Ukraine with promises of changing the course of the war have proven to be far weaker than the hopes that accompanied them. An analysis from Asia Times reveals a bitter reality. In practice, NATO's armored vehicles are unable to withstand direct firefights with Russian forces. On the real battlefield, every theory is tested without mercy. And Russia, since the beginning of the conflict, has demonstrated dominance in conventional warfare. They have managed to disable some of the West's best tanks, and not just one or two. The American Bradley, the German Marder, the Leopard, even the Abrams. These big names that sound intimidating on paper have been sent to the front lines, only to become burning metal wrecks scattered across the battlefield. Ukraine, with all its limitations, is trying to hold on. They attempt to repair, patch, and adapt. But in the world of heavy weaponry, half-hearted repairs aren't enough to save lives. And unfortunately, the result remains the same. They don't last. But the vulnerability doesn't stop at thin armor or inadequate active defense systems. The problem goes much deeper. NATO is facing a shortage of tanks. There simply aren't enough to form a dominant armored force, not to mention the fragile logistics chain, which was never designed for a full-scale ground war with a country like Russia. Every combat vehicle sent to Ukraine seems to go through a long deliberation process, not just in terms of strategy, but also sustainability. Because every shipment is not only about giving, it's also about losing. And that loss means weakening one's own reserve strength. The situation is incredibly complex, too complex to be solved by merely sending weapons. That's why Ukraine often has to wait and keep waiting in desperation. Meanwhile, Russia keeps moving, without waiting and without hesitation. That's all for today's episode, and thanks for watching.